So, Michael, you've been running a series called the Essential Series on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock, dealing with some of the issues arising out of the COVID crisis, and also you've written a series of articles. Can you give us your insight on what you think the challenge is going to be moving forward?
Well, I saw a really classic example there earlier this morning when Michael sent through an article from the Australian Financial Review, which basically highlighted the fact that, these are my words, that the industry is already going to start cannibalising itself from the top down to the bottom in terms of forcing price reductions. So the article gave examples of a quantity surveyor where I think they priced a three-storey townhouse or three-level townhouse for 1.3 prior to the COVID, and then the developer client ended up signing with a builder for $970,000. So what that does is then that developer client is you've been inundated with subbies wanting to work. But you just know that, therefore, it's going to be just a race to the bottom in terms of grabbing work at any cost. And that really concerns me, because that would just drive insolvency to very disturbing levels. And also, quite frankly, the client won't get a good product. There'll be defects, it won't be a good site to work on. So I don't understand why people do this, but it's very, very concerning. If that's going to become the norm, well then insolvency in the Queensland Building Construction Industry, I did an article a couple of weeks ago, in terms of external administration appointments, it's always within 1 or 2 percentage points of about 20%. And that's over a 10-year period, which includes going back to the post-GFC. But truly, if these circumstances are so unprecedented, that the insolvency rate could be very, very much higher than that, and that just concerns me in terms of what's going to happen in the future.
And Michael, maybe if I can just add there, that the added pressure for businesses will, of course, be that a lot of the employee on costs, it's really difficult to get flexibility and move those down as your pricing goes down, because they're locked into the modern award minimums, or certainly in the construction and building industry in the enterprise agreement. So we have seen a little bit of flexibility in terms of seeking variations to those, but the CFM EU has come out very clearly against those. So there's going to be that compounded pressure, that there won't be the flexibility unless things change, and that they are talking about industrial relations change, but to enable businesses to respond properly to those sorts of market pressures.
Yeah, totally agree. But the other thing too is, quite frankly, is that I don't know how anyone is pricing work with so much uncertainty at the moment and just taking a dive down in what they're prepared to take. Those fixed costs that you talk about are still fixed costs right now. So they're not, this person's tendered based on what's happening today. And I couldn't imagine the supply chain not being disrupted. So what alternatives have they got in place to source alternative materials? I'm just assuming that a lot of the inputs would have come from China, etc. If that's been disrupted, well then you can just see that this is going to be a recipe for disaster. That there'll potentially be delays from the builder to the client. The client will have like I said, we'll probably get a cheap building, but what will be a well-built building, I just don't know.